are starting a new series. It's a 4-week series about He Said What? A collection of things that Jesus has said over the New Testament that makes you look at Him a little puzzled. Like I went and I Googled some of the things that my dad, used to say. I go, are these popular sayings that my dad used to say that I used to look at him side-eye with? Because when Jesus said certain things, some people are like, are you kidding me? An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, or he would quote all these things too as well. Like, it just sounded like at times when he said things, it didn't fit the narrative of what the people had thought. So it got me thinking about the top 10 things that dads say that puzzle us to this day. Like, don't run in the house. Dad, you have 3 boys. What are we supposed to do, right? Close the door, were you born in a barn? Turn off the lights, I'm not made of money. I have found out, because I have said that too as well, it's like 2 cents a month if the light doesn't get turned off. But anybody else, dad, say that too? Turn off the lights? Yeah, always, right? Because I said so. Dad, why? Because I said so. I used to hear the word no a lot. I used to hear a lot, ask your mother. Or I would hear, when I was your age, I was already working 40 hours a week and still going to school. Anyone else? I'm not sleeping, I'm just resting my eyes. Did anyone ever do that one in church? Like back in the day, I went to a church that, it was like you know what I'm talking about, a 5-hour, did anybody else have like those really long services back in the day and you're a kid and they didn't have Sunday school? No, and so then you would sit there and your parents would expect you to be involved in it. And so, you start service at 7 o'clock at night, but now it's 10:30 and the pastor's still preaching. And I'm like, I don't know what he's saying. So, you would do, and your dad would tap you like, no, I was just praying, right? I was just resting my eyes, right? But these are the collections of things that Jesus said that just didn't make sense. And one of the biggest ones that we often hear we can find in Matthew 5:38, and it says this. You have heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But I tell you, this is Jesus talking, but I tell you not to resist an evil person. If someone slaps you on your cheek, turn to him the other also. If someone wants to sue you and take your tunic, your clothing, let him have your cloak as well. And if someone forces you to go 1 mile, go with him 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. You have heard it said, love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I tell you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. Are you kidding me? That would literally be like that would be like a mother and father splitting up, unfortunately, going to court, and one of the person trying to get all of the stuff from the other person, trying to take all the money, and literally God saying, no, you need to pray for that person who's persecuting you. You need to love that other person too as well. If I was being sued too as well, no part of me wants to pray for the person who's suing over me, right? Like, this is just like out there. It says that you may be sons of your Father in heaven. He causes his sun to rise on the evil and the good, and sends rain on the righteous and unrighteous. If you love those who love you, what reward will you get? He's saying that's easy. To love people who love you, that part is a given. Do not even the tax collectors do the same? And if you greet only your brothers, what are you doing more than others? Do not even the Gentiles do the same? Be perfect, therefore, as Heavenly Father is perfect. When it says turn the other cheek, who here agrees with that one? Yeah, you may agree with it now because you're a Christian. Yeah. But let's think about pre-Christian lives, right? That's what I'm just saying, right? This past week, I had an opportunity to bring this up, and I was with Pastor Ken, I was with Damien over there. He's got the gold chain on there, who looks like he probably threw a few blows back in the day. And I asked him, I said, is this realistic? Could you do this? He goes, well, maybe now as a Christian I could do it, but back in the day, no way I was going to turn the other cheek, right? Because we're not raised that way. Was anybody else raised like turn the other cheek? Or maybe did your dad say what my dad said to me? You don't throw the first punch, but you darn well better throw the last punch. Anybody else? Hey, don't start the fight, but you better darn well in the fight. Right? Our whole lives have been trained in some capacity to show revenge or to stand up for ourselves and say that, hey, we may get punched, but we're coming back at full force, right? Like, we're not taught that way to turn the other cheek. Sounds great in there, like, oh, have this side too. Like, none of us wants to do that. And I think one of the best ones I ever heard about was my own wife. I asked for permission, and everyone wants to know if I asked for permission for the stories that I share. I asked for permission. And she said, well, don't talk about me going to jail, though. I said, I won't talk about you going to jail. I'll leave that part out of it. So I have permission. I got permission to say that too as well. But when she was 16, she was out with her friends and having a good time, and all of a sudden she saw a girl that she had a quarrel with. And Isis was like, oh, no, it's happening tonight. But Isis had stilettos on and whatever on, and she's like, she can't be athletic. So she quickly ran home to go change into fighting gear to go back to the gas station where the lady was at. Right? Yeah. I've told you guys all, when Isis and I first started dating and a girl said hi to me, Isis would have him in a headlock and put him on the ground. Like, this woman's just different. But I just, she's had to go put on her athletic gear. It's like when guys get in a fight, what do? We take off our shirts immediately. Let me just tell you what, guys, if you're not in shape, don't do it. It makes the other guy feel more confident, okay? But Isis is going over there. She's changing her clothes. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and her dad wakes up. She's like, what are you doing? And Isis is like, oh, no, Shannon Callahan's going to get it tonight. I'm going to go do this. And her father looks at her and goes, hey, not tonight. You wait till she's alone. There's no one around. And then you do what you got to do then. Sound advice from a father saying, like, hey, don't get caught. We don't need to go to jail. But it was also, you're not turning the other cheek. You're still engaging in with them too as well. Well, Isis didn't listen to her father. Goes and pulls a girl out. Next thing you know, 12 hours later, they had to pull her out of jail. I'm just saying it's a funny story, but we're never taught it to do what the Bible says about turn the other cheek. So when we hear this, it sounds great, but it is one of those things like, he said what? If someone does me wrong, you're telling me that I'm supposed to let it go? That I'm supposed to not repay evil for evil? And that is what the verse is saying. Do not repay an evil act with an evil act. And that goes, by the way, for your mouth as well. Because a lot of you guys in here think about turning the other cheek is only about physical. It is completely not only about physical. I'd say it has more to do with your mouth than it does with you physically. Some of you guys in here right now like, I'm not physical, so this wouldn't be a problem. I bet your mouth is extra boxy. It's like a Mike Tyson. Who here's got a Mike Tyson mouth? Could knock someone out. Yeah. I know she does, buddy. Like, I know. Everyone can point to everyone right there, right? But in 1 Peter 3, starting in 3:8, it says this, finally, all of you, be like-minded and sympathetic. Love as brothers. Be tender-hearted and humble. Do not repay evil with evil or insult with insult, but with blessings. Because this is what you are called, so that you may inherit a blessing. For whoever would love life and see good days must keep his tongue from evil and his lips from deceitful speech. He must turn from evil and do good. He must seek peace and pursue it. For the eyes of the Lord are on the righteous, and his ears are inclined to their prayer. But the face of the Lord is against those who do evil. Who can harm you if you are zealous for what is good? So I would tell you, my first part here today is, we're also going to talk about verbally turning the other cheek. There's that stupid thing that your mom and dad used to tell you back in the day. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Anybody ever heard that one back in the day? Did anyone ever believe it back then? No, because they were lying. Like, it was one of those things that you knew your parents were lying about, because words completely hurt more than being physically hit. I would rather take 15 or 16 punches than hear one bad thing that I used to hear back in the day. People would call me fat and husky and ugly and all this, and that was just my brother Ryan. He keeps me humble, Todd. But it would carry over into school too as well, because I had this one thing where I thought I only looked good in one pair of jeans, so I wear the same black pair of jeans every single day. Like my daughter Natalie back in the day would only wear the same Nike shirt, and she would never change it. But we were stuck in that, and because of that, I'd get made fun of and hurtful things would come my way. And also, it's one of the only pair of pants I could fit in at that time too as well. You ever got those pants that like, oh, I don't care how much weight I can gain, I can still fit in these? Like, these were those jeans. But I remember the words that would be told to me all the time. You're fat, you're husky, you're not good looking. I had a big gap in my teeth too as well. And it hurt so bad. So when my parents would say, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words would never hurt me, I'm like, that sounds like bull crap, man. Sounds like baloney, man. Sorry, Michelle. Because words hurt so much, and it is one of the biggest lies. There's a quote in the movie White Men Can't Jump. Sometimes when you really lose, you really win, and sometimes when you win, you really lose. I think that when we get into verbal arguments and we don't care about how the other person feels at times, and I'll talk directly to spouses right now. We can be in a fight and an argument with our spouses, and if we're not going to win, what do? Well, I'm going to leave with the upper hand. Like if you know you're losing the battle, well, I'm going to make sure I end up hurting this other person. And so sometimes you leave the fight knowing you lost, but knowing you really stabbed them hard on the side by bringing up their past or whatever it is, so that you could walk away feeling like, well, at least I got the final blow. Meanwhile, not caring that you crumbled the other person. And it leaves so much damage that goes on at that time. So when we talk about verbally abusive stuff, I would tell you, sometimes when you win, you really lose, and sometimes when you lose, you really win. Sometimes we all just need to lose the fight to really win, especially when it comes to the people that we care about most. Some of you guys are saying, like, I'm not like this with people outside my walls in my house. Great, good for you. But oftentimes we are the most verbally confrontational with the people that are in our own house. They take the beating most of all. I'm telling you right now, turning the other cheek, when we think about people that are suing you, people that are doing this, I would tell you the biggest act of turning the other cheek probably needs to happen in your own home. And you need to not have a win or lose record on your mind. You need to have, I don't care if I lose and that person wins, because it builds them up. Proverbs 15:1 says this: a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. I have never talked to someone who talked to me gently when I was mad and me not calm down. I do this exercise with a lot of couples in couples counseling, and so for those of you that are going to be doing it, just so you know, this will be coming up. And the couples in here, I didn't ask them for permission, but I'm going to say it anyways. But I tell every single one of them that when we meet, they always talk about how bad their fights are. Because when they start fighting, they actually start doing dirty, right? Like you can argument and we can yell back and forth. Like Isis and I, like we're good at it, man. Like we are great fighters. But what we are not is we're not dirty, where I pull up all the past things that she did in her relationship, all the things that she did prior to me, or vice versa too as well. So I tell couples when they tell me that when they start fighting, it gets heated and they start saying choice words to each other. I said, listen, in order for you to do this, there's got to be homework. This is what I need you to do. When you guys start fighting, I need you to hold hands and fight. Yeah. And they're like, what? I go, when you're fighting, when you're literally going to blows with each other, trying to knock the other person out, can we just stop for a moment, hold hands? You can still throw the same blows that you want. You can still say everything that you want, but I want you to fight holding hands. So this couple, they come back the next day and they're laughing and like, Pastor David, you stupid, man. Like you're like we were in this fight and I was saying some stuff to him and he was saying it back to me and we were going at it. In the middle of it, my husband's like, wait, aren't we supposed to hold hands and fight? I thought, well, good, So he goes, we held hands, and as soon as we held hands, we started laughing. The moment we started holding hands, we both started saying how stupid Pastor David was. Like, this is stupid. And the next thing you know, guess what they couldn't do? They couldn't fight. Because it's hard to hold the person that you love most of all and be gentle with them and still spew words to them. I encourage you guys all, are you guys holding hands? You guys fighting a lot right now? Is it because your wives aren't in town today? Now you guys are hanging out? Gentle answers turns away wrath, but harsh words stir up anger. Turning your cheek is a symbol of saying, I'm not going to do it my way that will hurt the other person. I'm going to do the Lord's way that will bring peace. This move is not a weakness. This teaching is not meant to promote becoming a doormat or enabling abuse. It's called to break the cycle of violence and revenge. I don't want to have a revenge heart, especially with the people that are in my own house. On Tuesday afternoon, my wife walked into the house, and I was trying to talk to her and trying to love her and all this, and would you quickly yell at me? Give me a minute. I need to calm down, right? And old David back in the day, who you think you're talking to, girl? I'm the man of the house. I was trying to love up on you, but I didn't. Because I remember so often when Dr. Brand said it to us before, that marriages aren't 50-50. And if you think your marriage is supposed to be 50-50, you're living in delusion. It is not 50-50. Sometimes it's 90-10, sometimes it's 10-90, sometimes it's 70-30. And that day she looked at me and she goes, babe, I need some time to myself for at least 35 minutes. And I understood that part. Okay, she's running on 10%, I need to come with the 90%. So when she started making dinner, I was like, let's go out to eat because it was her night or something like that. But turning the other cheek is one of the most important things you can do in your own relationship, especially with the people in your house, brothers and sisters or whoever too as well, because gentle words will bring peace. Don't you want a peaceful home, a peaceful life of living? Also, turning the other cheek is all about forgiveness, and forgiveness can change everything. I mean, it can change everything. I remember what Billy Graham's wife said. The reason why our marriage is a success for so many years is because no one out forgives us. You will find no bigger forgivers than ourselves to one another. I want to give you a story of Joseph in the Bible. He is the son of Jacob, the man whose hip was broken by God. Joseph was cast out into slavery by his brothers. They wanted to kill him because he was getting all the praise. He was the good-looking one. His father loved him most. And so all of his brothers, they all get together and they throw him into a pit and they sell him away to another person. Well, over a course of a time, Joseph ends up working in Potiphar's house, ends up becoming his right-hand man, serving the Lord still, but he's still a slave at this time. And then one day, Potiphar's wife is like, dang, Joseph, you look good. And Potiphar's wife tries to come and hook up with Joseph, and Joseph goes, no, I will not do that. Well, he gets wrongly accused, and the man goes back to prison. All because his brothers from years earlier didn't like him. They wanted to kill him. They're like, this guy's getting too much praise. This guy's getting too much accolades. Like, they threw him out. And now he's back in prison for something he didn't even do. Well, Joseph gets out a couple of years later because he was able to save the kingdom from a great famine. And then Joseph's brothers have to come from a far out land to come talk with Joseph, who they don't know is still alive, because they need food. And Joseph sees them. I got to tell you, if I was Joseph, and I saw my brothers walking from a distance, I'm like, oh, I didn't forget what you did. Anybody else forget what you did? 12, 15 years later, I've been a slave, I've been this, I was wrongly accused. No part of me is thinking forgiveness in this moment. Is anyone else thinking forgiveness? Like, oh, I can't wait to get revenge right now in this moment. You guys ever have that when you're in a fight with your spouse or whatever? I heard Nate Bargatze say it great one time when he was in a fight. He goes, when I'm in a fight with my wife, I always know I have like a little bit of ammo at the end to like throw it and stick it to him. This would have been that one of those moments where I would have been like, I cannot wait to stick it to these guys and put them into jail and then make them suffer what I have suffered too as well. And for 15 years, this would have been stewing on my mind. Anybody else would have been looking for that moment? Like, God, please bring my brothers so I can repay them what they repaid me, right? God is a God of justice. Like, I want some justice right now in this moment. Who here loves justice? Yeah, just not to ourselves, right? We love justice for other people, but not for ourselves. But here's that moment where the brothers will come back to him. And this is where we pick up this story in Genesis 45, 1 through 14. It says, Joseph could no longer control himself, right? He's been interacting with his brothers for a while, back and forth. But Joseph could no longer control himself before all of his attendants, and he cried out, send everyone away from me. Joseph is second in command now of Egypt. So none of them were with Joseph when he made himself known to his brothers, but he wept so loudly that the Egyptians heard him, and Pharaoh's household soon heard it. Joseph said to his brothers, I am Joseph. Is my father still alive? It's been years since he's seen his dad. But they were unable to answer him because they were terrified in his presence. Yeah, I'd be freaked out too if I left someone for dead and 15 years later I find out they're the head honcho. I think that would be nerve-wracking. Then Joseph said to his brothers, please come near to me. And they did so. I am Joseph, your brother, he said, the one who you sold to Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves that you sold me into this place, because it was to save lives that God sent me before you. That would not be my perspective in this moment. He goes, God sent me before you, for the famine has covered the land these 2 years, and there will be 5 more years without plowing or harvest. God sent me before you to preserve you as a remnant of the earth and to save your lives by a great deliverance. Therefore, it was not you who sent me here. Not my thought in this moment. If I was one of the brothers, there would be some of relief. You're not the one who sent me here. God sent me here. Therefore, it is not you who sent me here, but God who has made me a father to Pharaoh, Lord of all his household, and the ruler over all the land of Egypt. Now return quickly to my father and tell him, this is what your son Joseph said. God has made me Lord of all of Egypt. Come down to me without delay. You shall settle in the land of Goshen and be near, you and your children, your grandchildren, your flocks and herds and everything you own. And there I'll provide for you, because there will be 5 more years of famine. Otherwise, you and your households and everything you own will become destitution. If I even said that right. Behold, you and my brother Benjamin, can I see that I, Joseph, am speaking with you? Tell my father about all the splendor in Egypt and everything you have seen, and bring my father down here quickly. Then Joseph threw his arms around his brother and wept, and Benjamin wept as they embraced. Joseph kissed each of his brothers as he wept over them, and afterwards his brothers talked with him. Joseph's brothers throws him into slavery, into prison, and the moment he has them come back, he quickly turns the other cheeks and says, I'm not going to take revenge on you. He decides to forgive them for that. Forgiveness changed everything in this moment right now. Because now the people are saved, now the nation is saved, and now they're living in an area that has the food and the water and everything that they would need. Forgiveness is sometimes one of the hardest things that we will ever do, but it is the biggest boss move of turning the other cheek. Because forgiveness doesn't just solve the problem, it can last a lifetime and have generational wealth, if you want to call it, for years to come. All because we choose to do that. Turning the other cheek is one of the hardest things to do. Especially when when you get into one of those people who has those quick-witted people you just want to smack around? Like the moment you say something, they're like back with it right there, and then you want to say something back, but you're not as quick doing it. I honestly think for all of us, that's like the Holy Spirit stopping us from interjecting with it in that moment. I think I'm a very quick-witted person. Like, Wally, if you and I would get in a bat, I'd be like, boom, boom, boom. But there's sometimes I can't say it back. I'm like, oh, is that God telling me no, that it needs to stop right now too as well? Turning the other cheek is not a weakness, and forgiveness is the biggest portion of turning the other cheek, can change everything. You guys ever get in those fights in your house where, someone messed up, and you guys, who can go days by being angry in the house? Yeah, I know you can. You guys can do it too. Taylor, you can go days. You can go. Anybody else? You can go days with being mad too as well. Even though you know that if I would just extend some forgiveness, all this could be at peace right now. So what you're saying, and all of them are saying, is you rather live in non-peace, right? You don't like living in peace. You don't like living in peace. You want to be in peace, but you just won't forgive. Oh, you're right, then they can't admit it, right? I get it, but so Isis and I will do the same thing too as well. Like if we get in a fight, I'll even take it a step further to like where we're walking down the hall and I'll be like, I don't. Anybody do that? When you guys get so mad at something? Yeah, right? Like you know what I'm saying? Or you're in the kitchen and you're cooking or whatever and you're just like, I'm not touching you, and you'll do your thing, whatever, because you want to let the other person know that you're still mad and you haven't forgiven them because they should have asked forgiveness. Meanwhile, you're just living in discord with one another, hating the other person's presence, when literally, you know what the best thing about being married in my house is? That it's comfortable, that there's peace in it, that I can do and walk around in my underwear and do whatever because it's just, but you get what I'm saying. Yeah, I know, people don't do that, right? But I'm saying, but that's the best part. So when we sit there and we engage and we say, for 72 hours, I'm going to be mad, or I'm going to, why? Literally, why do we do that? I love feeling like the moment when my wife and I are fighting, I can't crawl on the couch and go put my head in her lap. It's one of my favorite things to do. Why do I stop myself from doing those things? If you could quickly forgive, I'm telling you, as Billy Graham's wife said, the reason why our marriage has been so successful is because you won't find two bigger forgivers than us. We out-forgive the other person. Turning the other cheek is out-forgiving the other person at all times, no matter how wronged you've been, no matter how bad it's going in your life. Turning the other cheek is the biggest power move you will ever do in your own house. And I'm telling you, your kids need to see it. The people around you need to see it. That when other couples come around you guys, they're like, why can't we be like them? They have so much peace. No, we don't have so much peace. We just forgive quicker than the other person around us too as well. I'm telling you, one of the best things I ever did was when that man was suing me for $1 million and I did not have the money. The best thing I could do is I told him, we're not going to pray against this person, but we're going to start praying for this person, turning the other cheek for those that are persecuting you. We're going to forgive him from coming after us. And then within 24 hours, God handles the whole entire thing. Forgiveness unleashes peace. It unleashes comfort. It makes you feel at home. For all of you who love to keep, because you get to win the fight and let the person know that you're all mad, who are you robbing? No, just yourself. No one else. If Joseph would have condemned his brothers back to prison like he did, he would have felt just as much as pain as they would, because it would not have been settled. Peace releases this stuff in this moment. Look, as the worship team comes up right now, when we choose not to repay hurt with hurt, we are trusting in God. I love what Joseph said in verse 5, is when he said, and now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves that you sold me into this place. Could you say that to the person who wronged you in front of you? Lawyer, do not be distressed or angry with yourselves that you are doing this to me, because it is to save the lives that God sent me before you. For the famine has come in the land for these years, and there will be 5 more years without plowing or harvest. God sent me before you to preserve you as a remnant on earth and to save our lives by a great deliverance. When the injustice is happening to you and you have the opportunity to turn your cheek or not, who's to say that God hasn't sent you first like he did for Joseph? Had Joseph not been sent into slavery all those years ago, the whole nation would have died. Are you going through something right now where God is telling you, like, yeah, I know this sucks. It's not your fault, but it's still your fight. That you're going through something so hard right now, and you're like, there's no way I can turn my cheek, but is it like possibly that God's like, no, you're Joseph. If you can turn your cheek and understand to trust in my process right now and forgive the others, I am sending you ahead to save a nation, to save the household, to save the family, to bridge the gap of all the things that needed to be bridged. Turning the other cheek, especially married couples right now, especially those who will be married one day too as well. Listen to me. Turning the other cheek is not weakness. It's not. It's a power move that will keep peace in your house. I do want to say this, though. Mama didn't raise no punk, though. Right? We turn the other cheek when it comes. It's not that we don't shut down threats. When God says guard your heart, man, we're like, man, we guard our hearts and we shut down the enemy from coming in early or somebody coming to protect us. So sometimes you may have to like throw up those hands to protect. Because once you turn one cheek and the other cheek, God didn't say anything after that. Come on, Mel. That one was good. Did anyone else think that was, yeah, right? Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying. I want to go back to the turning the cheek is not a weak move. It is the most boss move that you can do to keep the peace of the people in there. It promotes forgiveness, and you're saying in that moment, even though I've been wronged, God, I still trust in your plan right now to do the things that you want to do. I pray that we all become like Joseph, that when we go through those valleys that we're going through, we are saying to ourselves, God, I forgive them for what they did because I know you have something for me in the future. That you can walk through the fiery and all the valleys and all those things too as well and go, God, I know there's a promise on the other end. If the biggest discipline you could ever learn is turn your other cheek, turn your other cheek, turn your other cheek, and for the love of God, shut your mouth. Don't let your mouth come out and say the things you know that you're going to regret in the future. It is the biggest boss move you can do. Guys, stand with us as we sing this song right now.